Hi, it's Pastor Penny, and it's June 29th. And I am continuing to talk about the Beatitudes today. First, let me just remind you about our book study, Be the Bridge, tomorrow night at 7, led by Stephanie Kimball. This will be the second meeting of 4. And you would, I think, enjoy and get a lot out of this study, even if you don't read the book. Just touch that Zoom link in the daily email and you're in, and you can join us. So I hope you will. So today I'm talking about, if you go in order, it's the 5th Beatitude. There are 12 altogether, and so I will not be doing all 12, but the 5th one is, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." And the Message version of that is, "You're blessed when you care. At the moment of being careful, Full, you find yourselves cared for." So if you're merciful, you will be shown mercy. So among the Hebrews, mercy was the most important virtue you could have, and the one that they looked to God for the most. And some of that, there are examples like the last line of the 23rd Psalm. "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." Does that sound familiar? And then Psalm 103, verse 8. "The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love." So, so they thought, that was the thing, the most important thing, the Hebrews, that is. And then, so you might ask, well, does God keep score? Like, if I'm not merciful, he will not show me mercy? The answer is no. That isn't quite how it works. So in Matthew 18, Peter comes to Jesus and he says, "How many times do I have to forgive? More than 7 times?" And 7 was an important number to the Hebrews. And Jesus says no, 70 times 7, which could also mean eternity, like forever. That's how often you should forgive. So then Jesus says, "Okay, Peter, listen to this story." So a king called his his servants in one at a time to talk about their debts. And so he called one in and said, "You owe me $10,000. And so you need to sell your children and your wife and all your possessions because you haven't paid me back." And the servant said, "Oh, please, King, please forgive my sin, my debt. Please don't do this to me." And the king had a soft heart and said, "All right, pay me back as you can, and I will not take away all your possessions and throw you in jail." So the servant said, "Oh, thank you, King." And he left, and he left and he went outside and he saw another servant that he knew, and he said, "You owe me." He grabbed him by the neck and he said, "You owe me $100. You better pay me now." And the servant said, please don't hurt me. I can't pay you yet, but I will." And so the other servant had him thrown in prison. So, what's up with that? So then the king heard about this, and he called back the first servant. He said, I forgave you $10,000, and you went out and had your colleague thrown in prison because he couldn't pay back $100? That's so terrible. And the king had him tortured and then thrown in prison. So that was Jesus' parable that he told Peter, a story of the unforgiving servant. So we show mercy to others in the way that we've been treated. It's kind of like related to the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you grow up with parents who remembered every single transgression in in your childhood, then that's how you're going to treat your family. And in congregations, boy, one of the things I read said congregations can have strong disagreements, horrible disagreements, and the reason they might split over them, or just they never forgive. They can't forgive one another, and so they split, or they close, or whatever the situation is. They just cannot forgive each other often in congregations. So, we all know what it's like to forgive or not to forgive, but we can forgive because we remember how we've been forgiven. It's an act of remembrance. We remember how merciful God has been to us. So I know it's tough to forgive sometimes. I know that I've forgiven and think I've forgiven, and then it comes back to me how angry or upset I was, and in my heart I really didn't forgive. So it's an ongoing process, but just think about blessed are the merciful, because they have shown mercy. So I hope you'll give that some thought. Blessings.